Hey, this is Tyler. Welcome to lesson one of EQ Performer. I'm excited that we're into lesson one. This is one of, if not the most pivotal areas of life. This lesson is called self awareness. And today we're going to be talking about a range of emotions. We're going to get insight into self awareness, looking into someone else's story, and we're going to look at reactions to behaviors while experiencing emotions. Ultimately, we're leaning into our own discomfort by committing to observe the emotions within us. Self awareness is all about what we experience. A technical definition of self awareness is the ability to accurately perceive your own emotions in the moment and understand those tendencies across situations. And ultimately, raising your self awareness is going to require a willingness to tolerate some level of discomfort because we're focusing on feelings that sometimes may feel negative. And with that brings up experiences that maybe are painful from the past, or even in the very moment, they're just painful, or they create different range of emotions from anger and sadness. We're going to dive into that. But what's powerful is people with a high degree of self awareness are really clear in understanding what they do well, what motivates and satisfies them, and which people in situations push their buttons because they have a greater understanding of themselves. And so this is a really powerful place to operate out of because most of us get caught in a cycle of doing the same routine, the same things over and over again. And we don't really stop to think, to gauge, okay, how am I feeling right in this very moment? I was triggered by that, or I just feel a little off today. What am I feeling? And what may have created that experience? And many people, when you talk about emotional intelligence, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. We all experience emotions. And whether you're male or female, you also may want to not talk about feelings. You may want to leave them over there in the corner and just let them be and operate throughout our given day and just go through the routines. What happens, though, is when we begin to explore self-awareness, we begin to put name to different emotions and what the experiences are that we're having, we're able to move through different situations with greater ease. We're able to let go of things faster. We're able to accomplish what we've set out to accomplish because that very thing that would have taken an hour of our day just being angry and frustrated, we soon learn to move through that quickly because we understand that it wasn't the end of the world, or it's a big deal, but the way I handle it now is different. And so when we look at the range of emotions, we can see, there's happy, there's anger, there's sadness. And within those, there's a range of emotions. There's a mild feeling of happiness. There's a medium level of happiness. There's a high level of happiness. And with each of those, there's dozens of words that we can use. At a mild level, it's calm, it's glad, it's pleasant, it's supportive, it's tender, it's warm. Happiness at a medium level may be cheerful, earnest, good, inviting, pleasing, satisfied, tempered. A high level of happiness may look like alluring, ecstatic, fascinated, joyful, sparkling, zealous. Anger, same thing. We look at mild, medium, high. And within the range, feelings vary. Could just be grumpy, nervous, durable. Could be callous. Could be distracted. Could be stubborn. Or could be boiling, frightened, forceful, exhausted. And then when we look at sadness, we can see mild, medium, and high again. We could be broken. We could be stressed. We could be flustered. Or we could be gloomy, melodramatic, and embarrassed. And at a high level, we could be dejected. We could be undone. We could be mortified. Or maybe just complacent. And so when I think about self-awareness, I think of Ray Charles. Ray Charles, if you've ever watched the movie Ray with Jamie Foxx, I really enjoy that movie as a singer myself and seeing someone who had their sight and in a moment had to give that up. And all of a sudden it heightened the experience through his ears, at least the way the movie portrays it. And you get to see the focus and this guy become aware of himself and aware of his strengths and weaknesses. And he really became known for knowing, he had these extreme highs and extreme lows, but he knew himself really well. And he knew that if he was in a low, that he only did certain things. And if he was on an extreme high, he knew it was time to go do this. But he also knew that he needed to be in the middle as much as possible so that he could function well with other people. And so the same thing goes for us. When we're in the dental practice, when we're at home, when we're talking to friends, family, it doesn't matter who it is. We have to be able to check in, understand what's happening within ourselves, and then react to it. But most people aren't willing to sit and think long enough to really go, okay, now, how was today? And look through the range of the experience. Emotions, when they get the best of us, we have different responses. Some of you may feel it in your shoulders or your neck. Some of you may sweat, or you may feel a tightening in your stomach. Your breathing may become more rapid. Heart rate increases. You maybe feel it in your face and become flush. And so all of these are indicators of what we're experiencing. But again, most often we're not aware of how that affects us. We just keep going on about our routine. There's typically 3 reactions when people say the emotions got the best of them. So I don't know if you can imagine what they might be. But if I told you that the top 3 percentage-wise, that when asked when emotions get the best of me, the answers were I speed up or get louder. So imagine if you're in the workplace and your emotions start to get the best of you. How would speeding up or getting louder affect performance of yourself and then the rest of the team? Well, you might say speeding up is good because we get work done faster. But in this case, this means a speeding up of beginning to mess up, taking things and not doing them correctly because now we're missing steps, or getting louder in a conversation than is necessary and causing a distraction. Which leads us to the second point. And when emotions get the best of me, I tend to feel distracted. So you lose focus, the ability to really hone in and pay attention to what you're doing. When you go from a lunch break and you just had a heated argument with someone and you go right into the treatment room, we don't want to feel distracted. But oftentimes when emotions get the best of us, it's the second most common experience people have. And then the final one is people actually slow down or get quieter. So instead of getting faster and louder, people retreat. And that's one thing I always imagine when I think of conflict. Most of us put our fist up and we're ready to fight. Or we go into fight or flight mode and we want to back up, we want to cower and live in fear. So any of those, whether it's speeding up and getting louder, feeling distracted, or slowing down and getting quieter, they don't allow us to play at our optimal level. And you might say, well, work is not play, but it is. It's how we show up and perform. Imagine an athlete performing and feeling distracted, or getting quicker and louder, or slowing down and becoming quieter. All those are distractions. Other people have responded when emotions get the best of them. They pace, they daydream, they talk faster, they feel lonely, they get irritable, nervous, insecure, get flustered, impatient. They shut themselves off. And so the power of self-awareness is leaning into the discomfort, looking at not just the happy emotions. Oh man, today was a great day. What a day. I was on fire. The team was on fire. I came home. Life was great at home. It was one of those top 10 days. And you leave it at that. You don't really dive deeper into being able to articulate why, what happened. And so we're not done until we dive into the challenging emotions, those that produce some discomfort. Because when we understand them, we're able to move through and beyond the discomfort and create productive opportunity. If you feel melancholy or somber or tired, we have to look at those emotions and say, what happens to me and what do I do when I feel this way? Beginning to describe what you experience allows you to move forward. So if you're melancholy, well, maybe you're too even keel sometimes. And it causes you to think and pause and eventually get reactive. Or maybe you're somber because you take on too much and you have low energy and you resist movement. And maybe you're tired and you have a low presence and others have a big effect on you. Well, see, when you know those, you then have the ability to put together a program, a strategy to work through that, to understand the emotions that cause you the most discomfort. When you get honest about it, you're able to produce massive breakthrough. But it takes us looking at ways to actually accomplish that and move ourselves forward. In a self-awareness, we can begin to quit treating our feelings as good or bad and simply notice what they signal. I don't know about you, but when I watch people raise their kids, we hear that all the time is, oh, that was good, or oh, that was bad. So we become conditioned, right? Good and bad. Well, I don't want to feel that way because that's bad. But in reality, it's simply a signal for us to observe. And when we begin to observe the ripple effect of our emotions, we can see the effect that it has and how it plays out in the world around us. We can lean into those discomfort of the emotions when we don't really understand them initially. We can watch for the triggers, see who and what pushes our buttons. We can take notice of the thoughts and emotions that we have and the behaviors that unfold out of that. Solid practice, especially when you're just beginning to dive into the awareness journey and becoming more aware of yourself, is to keep a journal and to write about what emotions, moods, and patterns seem to repeat in your life. Again, this is not a male or female thing. This is a life tool. It's powerful for anyone to be able to journal, to have reflective time, and ultimately begin to practice not getting displaced and upset and broken by bad moods and not getting fooled by a good mood. Because we know, just like Ray Charles, there's ups and downs. There's experiences that are challenging, and it's not so much trying to stay always in the best mood and always on the high, but to navigate life's ups and downs with awareness and having authority over ourselves, taking responsibility that I have the ability to control what's happening with my responses. How long has it been since you stopped and asked yourself why you do the things you do? How long has it been since you've checked your face and your mood in the mirror to see, am I happy today? And if I am, does that convey itself? Am I always sad and people notice it and I never seem to be happy? Even though internally I really am. Maybe we need to watch movies. Books and movies are two of the greatest sources for us to learn about emotions, because the most true, authentic performance of an actor shows us an experience from real life that, when done well, is seamless. It's authentic, it's powerful, it moves us because we see something and we can maybe see that in ourselves sometimes. So looking in movies, lyrics, and music and books that can help us express how we feel in our own lives. And ultimately, it's about getting to know ourselves under stress and better recognizing the first signs that it's time to slow down. We have a culture of power through. I need to power through this. I need to move faster through this. And there's danger in that because we never stop to take an inventory. And so self-awareness is simply taking the time to become aware of your personal experiences with the world around you. What brings excitement and joy, what brings sadness and frustrations and pains and anger. And even amongst the different emotions, what's the scale? Is it a mild level? Is it a medium level? Is it a high level? If you're angry, are you just a little upset? Are you actually in rage? There's a big difference between the two. And so being able to honestly, accurately assess that helps us move forward. We can look at others around us. The greatest opportunity is to see the best in other people. But so often we look at other people and we decide, hey, you're stupid. You're always doing this. This person's dumb. This person really just doesn't do their job well. They're always this. And self-awareness allows us to check ourselves and say, why is that person triggering me? What have they done? And then how can I respond differently? Because when I begin to take ownership, when I look for the win-win in the relationship, I stand stronger than ever, more confident than ever. And I'm taking inventory of what my personal experience is, and that's all I can own. I can't make you do anything. I can't make anyone do anything they don't want to do. Even if it feels like they need to do this and I can just see it so clearly, self-awareness is all about us. It's about you. The internal feelings, experiences, and how they help us move forward. Self-awareness is the key foundational building block of emotional awareness and having a high level of EQ.